This jet should be gone. It burns more fuel, costs more to fly, and most airlines ditched it years ago. But Lufthansa? They're bringing it back. What's going on, and could this one jet secretly be saving them millions while others go broke? At the end of this April, there were reports that Lufthansa had completed the final C-check on its Airbus A340-600 fleet and was all set to retire the aircraft from commercial service in late 2025. But as it turns out, that plan didn't stick. Lufthansa, Germany's flag carrier, has once again adjusted its retirement schedule, this time pushing it into early 2026. Currently, Lufthansa is still flying legendary aircrafts like the Airbus A380, Boeing 747-400, and 747-8, massive double-decker aircrafts that are reminiscent of the golden era of commercial air travel. But perhaps most surprising is Lufthansa's commitment to the Airbus A340. The airline currently operates a fleet of 25 A340s, including 17 300s and 8 600 variants. Some of these aircrafts are over 30 years old, with the first units delivered in 1993. In a world moving toward fuel-efficient twin-engine aircraft, Lufthansa remains one of the few major airlines still embracing this aging quadjet. But why? Let's uncover the actual reasons behind the A340's survival in the fleet of Lufthansa. Lufthansa's long-term plan, like most major carriers, is to modernize its fleet. In the latest update from May 2025, Lufthansa officially confirmed that the Airbus A340 will be retired in 2026, with its final flight scheduled for January 12th. That farewell journey will connect the Saudi capital, Riyadh, to the airline's main hub in Frankfurt. The replacements? Sleek next-gen jets. The A340-600s are scheduled to be replaced by the A350-1000, offering long range and high capacity. However, even after removing more than two-thirds of the fleet from active service, Lufthansa still finds itself relying on these jets. Why? Because the replacements haven't arrived. Originally, Lufthansa hoped to have a fresh batch of Dreamliners well before the end of 2025, but as of now, the carrier is only expecting to receive 8 to 10 more 787s by the end of this year, a pace that's far below what's needed to fully retire the A340-600s. Meanwhile, the smaller A340-300s are to be phased out in favor of A350-900s and 787-9s, which provide more flexibility across medium and long-haul routes. But reality has thrown a wrench into this well-laid plan. Deliveries of new aircraft have been plagued by delays. Boeing Dreamliners have been held up due to certification issues surrounding Lufthansa's new premium cabin product, Allegris. Airbus A350 deliveries have also faced delays due to ongoing global supply chain disruptions. And Boeing's 777-9? Well, it's not expected before 2026. Add to that the EU's retaliatory tariffs on Boeing aircraft, and you get an even more tangled situation. With its modern jets stuck in limbo, Lufthansa has no choice but to keep the A340 in the air. Surprisingly, Lufthansa's aging Airbus A340 fleet isn't just a temporary stand-in, it's profitable. Yes, the A340 has 4 engines and consumes more fuel than twin-engine rivals like the A350 and 787, but fuel cost isn't the only financial variable. Here's what makes this delay even more interesting. Lufthansa's oldest A340-300s were delivered in the late 1990s, while its fleet of A340-600s arrived throughout the 2000s. By the time the 2010s rolled around, all of these aircraft were fully paid off, meaning Lufthansa no longer has to factor in lease payments or loan obligations for their continued operation. In a world where wide-body aircraft can cost hundreds of millions of dollars and take years to produce, having a paid-off jet in the operational fleet is a serious strategic asset. In contrast, investing in new jets during a fragile post-pandemic economy adds financial risk. The A340's full ownership status gives Lufthansa flexibility. If there's a downturn in traffic, Lufthansa can simply ground one of these older aircraft without bleeding money on idle asset payments. But with brand new aircraft, the bills keep coming, regardless of whether the plane is flying or parked. And on top of that, the A340-600s come with a uniquely premium-heavy configuration. Many of these jets are outfitted with first-class cabins and roomy business-class layouts, ideal for high-premium routes like Frankfurt to Boston or Hong Kong. Replicating that level of premium seat density with newer aircraft would be both logistically complex and financially troubling. Before the COVID-19 pandemic, Lufthansa had a larger A340 fleet, but as demand collapsed, it cut back operations and grounded several of these aircraft. However, the A340s weren't scrapped. Instead, Lufthansa kept them in reserve, anticipating a future surge in demand. And that surge came as air travel rebounded faster than expected post-pandemic. Lufthansa found itself in need of additional long-haul capacity. The airline especially leaned on the A340-600 variant. These jets were reintroduced into service. Their return wasn't a nostalgic move, it was a calculated decision to meet market needs during an aircraft shortage. The A340's relevance became even more prominent again during one of the most intense humanitarian crises of the decade. Let's talk about the Afghanistan evacuation and how Lufthansa's A340 played a quiet but crucial role. As the Taliban closed in on Kabul and took over the capital, chaos erupted. Multiple nations rushed to evacuate not just their own citizens, but also Afghan nationals who had assisted during the war.
It's really important for the Afghan people to know that we won't leave them completely on their own when we withdraw. We will continue the reconstruction of Afghanistan and we'll continue training.
The clock was ticking, and Germany needed a way to get its people out fast. However, flying directly into Kabul had become way too dangerous. So the German government devised a different plan: fly people out to a safer zone and then bring them home from there. That's where Lufthansa came in. The German government chartered Lufthansa's Airbus A340-300s to assist in the evacuation operation. So instead of flying into Afghanistan itself, Lufthansa aircraft were dispatched to safer rendezvous points, mainly Tashkent in Uzbekistan, where the German armed forces, the Bundeswehr, were dropping off evacuees. Once there, Lufthansa took over, flying people back to Frankfurt. They weren't just regular charter flights, these were high-stakes humanitarian missions, and the A340 handled them with reliability and grace. You might be wondering, why the A340? Well, for one, it's long-range, capable of carrying a large number of passengers, and well-suited for missions where flexibility is key. More importantly, Lufthansa already had the infrastructure and experienced crew to get the aircraft in the air on short notice. When the German government called, Lufthansa acted fast, securing traffic rights between Germany and Uzbekistan, rostering flight crews, and getting aircraft ready for deployment. It all happened swiftly and efficiently, and the A340 was right at the center of it. By August 23rd, just a week into the operation, over 2,700 people from 38 different nationalities had been successfully flown out of Afghanistan, and Lufthansa was a vital piece of that puzzle, flying the evacuees from Tashkent to Frankfurt. In a time of urgent need, the A340 proved its worth not just as a long-haul workhorse, but as a lifeline. While most airlines have retired or are rapidly phasing out this four-engine giant, Lufthansa continues to find value in it, especially for niche missions like this. This isn't the first time Lufthansa has relied on the A340 in a pinch, and it likely won't be the last. So why won't Lufthansa kill off the A340 just yet? Because it still works, plain and simple. In critical situations like the Afghanistan evacuation, the A340 didn't just show up, it delivered. And when you have a plane that can do that, it earns its keep, regardless of what newer, trendier jets are flying around. Before we move on, we'd like to hear your thoughts on Lufthansa's use of the A340. Let's be honest, the A340 is no spring chicken. Keeping older aircraft in the air means higher maintenance costs, spare parts are harder to find, maintenance cycles are more frequent and expensive. The aircraft also struggles to meet the latest environmental and noise regulations. Modern jets like the A350 and 787 are far more efficient and compliant with today's emissions standards. They burn less fuel, produce fewer emissions, and require less maintenance. The cost-benefit equation is shifting, so there's no real reason why Lufthansa would keep them. The environmental pressure is certain, and stronger, something that the German airliner cannot evade. In 1993, it was indeed a bold response to the regulations of ETOPS, or Extended Range Twin-Engine Operational Performance Standards. Back then, ETOPS limited how far a twin-engine aircraft could be from the nearest airport. Initially just 60 minutes, later extended to 120, then 180. That meant transoceanic routes like the North Atlantic or South Pacific were off-limits to twin jets like the Boeing 767. Airbus responded with the A340, a four-engine long-range widebody that could fly over remote stretches of ocean without regulatory hurdles. It made perfect sense in the early 90s. Airlines like Lufthansa and Air France snapped it up, especially for premium international routes. However, now the rules have changed. And more importantly, twin-engine aircraft could suddenly fly the same long-haul routes as quad jets. That regulatory shift could very likely erase the A340's main advantage. Let's rewind to the 1990s. Why did Lufthansa go for the A340 in the first place instead of the Boeing 777? At the time, both jets were vying for dominance in the long-haul market. The A340 had one major advantage: synergy. The A340's four CFM56 engines, while more in number, were smaller and cheaper to maintain than the two large engines on the 777. In terms of total cost, the A340 was more manageable. Sure, the 777 had better range and higher capacity, but it was also heavier and less fuel efficient in day-to-day operations. Lufthansa wasn't looking for brute strength, it was looking for balance. And at that time, the Airbus A340 wasn't just a shot in the dark, it was the result of laser-focused research and state-of-the-art engineering. Now, while the Boeing 777 did offer greater fuel efficiency and higher overall capacity, the A340 brought something else to the table. Thanks to its 4-engine design, it could deliver strong takeoff performance, even on shorter runways, a big deal for certain international airports. At its peak, the A340 was adopted by airlines around the world. Many airlines opted for premium-heavy configurations, taking advantage of the cabin's flexibility to install roomy business and first-class seats, particularly attractive on routes where comfort and prestige mattered as much as capacity. And for a time, the A340 delivered just that. Ask any traveler what it's like to actually fly on one of these Lufthansa A340s today, and they'll respond pretty good actually. In fact, Lufthansa has two distinct variants, the 300 and 600, which is meant for a distinct passenger experience. The 300 carries 279 passengers in a layout that includes 30 Collins Diamond flatbed seats in business, 28 Somatic recliners in premium economy, and 221 Recaro seats in economy. The 600 has two further configurations. One has 8 first class, 44 business, 32 premium economy, and 213 economy seats, totaling 297 passengers. The other focuses more on business travelers, with 8 first, 56 business, 28 premium, and 189 economy seats, totaling 281. With more premium seats and fewer economy rows, the 600 functions as a smaller, sleeker sibling to the Boeing 747-8, ideal for business-heavy routes. Lufthansa isn't just flying this jet, they're tailoring it to offer premium comfort where it counts. The A340 is not the flashiest plane in the sky anymore, but for Lufthansa, it remains a critical bridge between past and future, a versatile, reliable asset that continues to serve a clear purpose. Until the skies fill with shiny new next-gen aircrafts, the A340 isn't going anywhere. Not dead, not obsolete, just waiting for the baton to be passed. And maybe that's what makes it so special. If you liked this video, make sure to show some love with a thumbs up down below, and don't forget to subscribe. We regularly post fascinating stories from the world of aviation.